number inside of the parentheses. And it says F and there's a number. What this is asking you is, when you see F of A, I'm going to put A could be any number. That means, what is Y when X is equal to that number? So I'm looking for a number. So for A, B, C, and D, A is saying, what is your Y value when X is 0? So if you look here at our graph, when X is 0, what is Y? 3. That would be your answer to part A. All right, take a moment and answer B, C, and D by yourself. Find your Y values when X is -6, when X is +6, and when X is 11. And then I'm going to ask 3 people to tell me your answers. No, I haven't tried it yet.
It's flowers.
Oh, it's flowers. Okay, I could do that. Connections, I could never get those. I don't know what's wrong. They're hard. All right, Ebenezer, what would you say for B? What is Y when X is -6? -3. Blake, what would you say for C? Sorry, I didn't hear you. Okay, so Delaney is back here. I'm looking at you. Delaney, what would you say for C? 0. So right here, this is when X is 6 and Y would be 0. Now, Denaya, what would you say for D? 1. Any questions about how we did that? Pretty easy? All right, next 4, go ahead and copy them down. E, F, G, and H. Same graph. For E and F, it's not asking you what the Y values are. It's just asking you, are the Y values positive or negative at those points? So the answer is not a specific number like we had for A, B, C, and D. Okay, so let's look at the graph when X is 3. So X equals 3. And that's going to be right about here, where you see that little red dot. So what would you say? Do you think Y is positive or negative right in there? Positive, because it is above the x-axis. So I agree. I would say it's positive. And again, we don't care what that number is. We just know that it's a positive number. When we look at question F, when X is -4, which would be about here, what is Y? Positive or negative? Negative. That's it. Now, we talked about domain and range yesterday from looking at a graph. So remember, domain goes left to right. So if I'm looking at my x-axis, this graph, it starts here, it ends here. So the values of x are in between those two places. So when I look here, when I zoom in, it looks like my x's start here and end here. So what are my end caps? -6 to 11, and they're both closed points. So we are going to use brackets. Now let's talk about the range. So the lowest point is here. The highest point is here. So what are my y values? The lowest y value would be -3, and the highest it goes is +4. Okay, any questions so far? Pretty easy. Homework 7, you have, I try to make the notes match the homework, and then the homework matches the quiz. So when you do homework 7, you're gonna have a graph. I just picked one of the graphs. And you're gonna answer these questions, A through P, similar to this. Okay? All right. Homework 7. Homework 7 is due Thursday. Go ahead and copy down I, J, K, and L. Now, 2 of these are asking the same question in a different way. I'm not going to ask you which 2 they are, but 2 of these are asking you the exact same thing in a different way. So I says, for what values of x is y equal to 0? For J, for what values of x is y greater than 0? K, what are your x-intercepts? L, what are your y-intercepts? I do have the quiz review ready. I think I'll pass that out tomorrow, either tomorrow or Thursday. All right, any ideas? What 2 questions are asking the same thing in different ways? I and what else? I and J? Not I and J.
It's I and K.
I and K. Because the definition of an x-intercept is what is x when y equals 0. So these 2 are actually asking you for the exact same thing. So we can do those together. So when y equals 0, that would be this horizontal line right here. There are 3 places where it crosses through. And the first place is here, which is x equals -3. The second place would be here, which is x equals 6. And the third place is here, which is x equals 10. The difference in these 2 questions is that in K, I have to write them as an ordered pair. So that would be -3 to 0. I'm sorry, not -3 to 0. -3, 0, +6, 0, and +10, 0. Okay. For question J, for what values of x is your y values greater than 0. So where is the y value positive? Y is positive between here and here. So let me just pause right there. So between those two, what is the x value? So right here, this is where it starts to become positive. So between here and here. So that's between what and what on the x-axis? And 6. Now, I'm not going to put brackets because we don't want to know when it's equal to 0. We want to know when it's greater than 0. And that would be between -3 and 6. That's the first part. So this part of the graph, it's above the x-axis, which means it's greater than 0. Then there's another little bitty piece at the end, which is here, from 10 to 11. So from 10 to 11. So 10, I'm going to put a parentheses. 11, I'm going to put a bracket because that's the end. Oh, that doesn't look like a bracket, though. Hold on. It looks like a rectangle. Here, that's better. And that would be your answer. And then lastly, where is my y-intercept? So there's only one. And that y-intercept is right here. And that's at the point 0, 3. All right, last 4. Go ahead and copy them down, and then we'll be finished with this graph. So how often does the line y equals 1/2 intersect the graph? And how often does the line x equals 5 intersect the graph? O, for what values of x is y equals 3? And P, for what values of x does y equal -2? So y equals 1/2. What kind of a line do you think that is? Do you think that's a vertical line or a horizontal line? Show me with your pencil. Which way does it go? Does it go like this or does it go like that? Y equals, does it look like this or does it look like this? This is where people always get confused. It's like this. So I think people get that confused because the y-axis is vertical. So we think that y equals is also vertical, but it's actually opposite. And that's something really hard to explain to students. And when I used to teach Algebra 1 18 years ago, I used to say, why are you sleeping? And then when you're sleeping, you're like this. And that's how I remember it. Maybe that'll help. Or maybe not. I don't know. So y equals is actually a horizontal line. I kind of miss teaching Algebra 1. But x equals is a vertical line. So it's opposite of the axis. So when I look at y equals 1/2, that means, I'm going to zoom in, I am drawing a line that goes through, y equals 1/2 is about here. So I'm going to draw a horizontal line that goes through And I'm not asking you where, but show me with your fingers how many times does the graph cross through my red line. That's all I'm asking you. How many times does the graph cross through the red line? 3. So that would be your answer. How often? So for part M, the answer is 3. Now, because this is a function, in order to pass the function test, it can't go through a vertical line more than once. But we can verify that by drawing a vertical line at 5. So this is 5, and I'm going to draw my vertical line. How many times does the graph go through the vertical line? Show me with your fingers. All right. All right, so this is saying for what values of x does y equal 3. So if I draw a horizontal line, this is saying draw a horizontal line at y equals 3. But then tell me the x values that will cross through. So I'm going to find 3 on the y-axis. So 3 is right here, and I'm going to draw a a horizontal line right there. And it crosses through twice. It crosses here and here. So that means it crosses at x equals 0. And it also crosses where at x equals what? 4. All right, the last one is y equals -2. So -2, I'm going to draw a horizontal line through -2. It crosses, well, it doesn't cross, but it touches. So what are my 2 x values? So the first time is at -5. And where's the second time? 8. So we're going to do class a little bit backwards today, and then we'll be finished. Normally we start with bell work, but because we had to grade homework, we're going to end with bell work. So you have a skills check on Thursday. So yesterday's bell work is on the skills check. That's the first half. This is the second half. So go ahead, take a moment and copy this down and work through it.